Are we recording? I think we're recording finally. Hello humans and welcome back to my channel. Oh my goodness, I have wanted to do this as a live. Maybe I actually should do that instead. And do a live YouTube video of me decorating cupcakes.
Once upon a time, there was a girl who never stopped wondering. She found magic in creativity, nature, and learning. She discovered beauty in the everyday, because every day is a chance to create, explore, and grow. And every dream begins with a single page. Welcome to Glitter Bomb.
Or making cupcake thingies. Potentially I could do both. I don't know. Let me actually just know. It's okay. We'll just record this today because my phone is anyway on charge, so I don't necessarily think it would be that great. So, firstly, I went to Baker's Bin. I'm baking a cake for my daughter's first birthday. It is fairy themed, so it's her fairy first birthday. And I have bought a few things, starting off with cornstarch. I'm going to just take all of my jewelry off and just put it to the side for now, as I know this is going to get potentially quite messy. I'm going to open this. I don't really care for it to spill. I've got a cutting mat that I've just wiped down where I'm going to be doing these on. I should potentially actually use the back of it. No, it's okay. It's okay for now. A silicone sheet would have been ideal, but I don't have one big enough, unfortunately. So I have had to buy so much of my cake stuff again, as unfortunately I don't have all of it anymore, and sometimes I just don't have the relevant colors and stuff. So cornstarch, I use cornstarch as my like anti-stick powder when working with fondants and stuff. Someone's calling me. Oh my goodness. Okay, so in the process, I have, oh my goodness, I need to figure out how to put this thing to not face wrap. I think that's how I do it. It did not fit and I squeezed it and it exploded a bit, but that's okay. I'm literally just going to push this to the edge because I'm going to use a lot of cornstarch in the process in how I do these. I do have flakes that I want to potentially just first cut into the smaller pieces, because if I don't manage to actually cut these, I'm going to have to make little wooden stamps. So, yeah, I am planning on, I've got 40 cupcake liners. So I'm planning on doing 40 cupcakes, but I don't know if we're actually going to do that many. But I've got 8 here. So I'd need to cut these into 5 pieces each, which is ridiculously small. I don't know if I'll be able to, but I'm just going to quickly get a hot knife. I don't have a method to this as I've never done this before, but I'm literally just going to heat a knife on a flame and cut them into little pieces, and then I'll be back. Okay, so the knife is not working so well because the chocolate is melting and burning on the knife. So I essentially decided, okay, no wait, let me boil the kettle, get boiling water, and then dip the knife in the water and cut, dip, cut. Slow process, but I really want it to work, so I'd rather take my time. I want to start doing the things that will take the least amount of time first, just so that I have the bulk load prepped, ready to go, and then from there my job is going to get a lot easier with the more I do. So the first thing that I've got, but essentially I'm supposed to actually, no, I'm actually supposed to prep in terms of like getting things done, because painting will be afterwards. Yes, let's do that first. I have got lots of these little white flowers, but I'm just putting them to the side now because I do want to start prepping everything that I want to make. I've got a few molds, I've got a few like ideas that I'm going for. I want to do a few little doors as well, little fairy doors. Don't necessarily know how that's going to go, but I think first I want to start with my mold making before I do any modeling type of things. Like I've got lots of different molds that I just want to get filled up, and you know, outside of the mold so that they can dry. I've got, for instance, this little garden set, which I thought would be so perfect for this cake because it's a fairy garden. There's some what do you call those, like pruning scissors or pruning whatever's. But I don't know, like, because they look like that, I don't know if many people will necessarily be able to see what they are. I'll do one and see what it looks like. But potentially I'll just use the little shovel and fork. And then I'll do like one on each cupcake, I think, because I don't want the cupcakes to be overcrowded. So yeah. But I might just actually use, I've got my art brushes to the left of me. And I've actually got quite a few of these palette knives. I actually want to do a smaller one now, but anyway. This is getting messy because it's me. Let's put the face tracking off again. Lower you guys a bit. And if I sound panicked, it's because I am. I did not realize how close the party actually was until very late. So I have to rush to get everything done. Well, everything that I've got planned at least. I don't think I'm going to be able to get to everything in any way. I'm going to just do them white. So I'm using my maizena or cornstarch or whatever. Or it's called cornstarch. Maizena is like the brand name in South Africa. So that's kind of what I always call it. Yeah, kan nie wees nie. The cat, shame. Like, obviously I'm working with food. He can't be in the vicinity right now. But yeah, anyway, guys, we are a pet house. So this is for our party. Obviously I'm trying my absolute best to stick to, like, you know, good practice and whatever, but realistically I'm also trying to be realistic about everything. Okay, so that is one thing I hate about these molds. I never get them to press in quite the way that I want them to, because they I really maizena them well, so then it's so not stuck that it ends up not wanting to even stay in the mold for me to actually just make it. Oh, this is going to be tedious, I believe. Okay, I'm just going to dust it at the top as well. Press it in, get those corners and everything nice and crisp, because I don't want those cut off corners. Okay, and then we're going to hope for the best when we pop this out, because I can definitely see there's a weak point because of how I'm scraping it, as I want it to be really nice and flat. Now you can get your brush in there and just get a good amount of maizena and really just brush it out. Tap until it decides that it's doing something, and it looks floppy. Now if I'm not doing many, yeah, this looks horrible. If I'm not doing many, I could essentially press it into my press and then go to the next one and then give it like just a minute or two to settle, but generally speaking it doesn't always help that much. So that one's fine. I'm just going to let it go into my pool of maizena over here, and then I'm going to go on to the next one. That's kind of how I do it. I could potentially actually press them all and then like do one round of the molds and then go to the next, go to the next. But yeah, and you really want to get your fingers to be maizena'd up. The only thing is you're pressing maizena or cornstarch into your fondant. So in the process of that, you tend to actually thicken up your fondant. So you don't really want to be reusing the same bits over and over again. You kind of want it to get pressed and, you know, move on. You don't want to put those back into your initial fondant, whatever. But also even this and this, I'm supposed to actually straight up close this one right away, because what will happen is it will dry up and it'll dry and you will struggle to use that. But so I'm just going to actually use some tape, because I don't want to really just use a whole container for this one. It's already in a bag, you know. Might as well just tape it up for now, and then I can just remove the tape and use it as needed. But potentially maybe putting it in a container is the best idea. We'll see how it goes. Even this bit I'm supposed to actually put, let me put it into like one of these and then just press this one on top and put it upside down. That way it gets minimal air exposure. Okay, let's see. Once again, get those little edges that you have cut off to look a little bit seamless and soft and very pretty. Okay, and then we're going to once again hope for the best when pressing that out. I actually just want to try and do the pliers. Once again, this piece over here, what I like using these for, to my left I'm going to have a little bit of a mix for my glue. This piece has pasted up a bit with the cornstarch, so well, not pasted up, but it's gotten a bit thick, so I'm just adding a little bit of food coloring, well, flavoring, sorry, to that, because it has got like, how do I explain it, like alcohol and stuff in, and I use this for glue. So I add that to here, and I'm going to add a tiny bit of normal water, just plain tap water to this. But while I don't have that with me right now, actually let me just go fetch a shot glass of water so that I've got water. Hold on. Okay, and then I'm literally just going to take this water, not in my workspace though, because you don't want water on your workspace. I'm just going to add a little bit of water to that little dried up piece of fondant. Not too much though, just a little, so it can soften up in the meantime. And then later on, when I need glue to glue separate pieces together or whatever the case may be, I would use that, and it helps so much. So let's see, let's get that one out. Oh, I did not really put a lot of time away for mold making, and I forget how long it takes. Okay, that one came out pretty well though. I'm satisfied with that one, which potentially leads me to believe I should potentially only do those. No, we're not doing that. Okay, let's do another one and try the little pruning scissors and see how that goes. I need to calm down. I'm so stressed and panicked. Like, no one cares. If the cupcakes don't happen, no one's going to be bothered except for me. And I need to learn that, like, if I am adding more work to my plate, I can't get upset at other people. The reason I'm saying this is a lesson I've learned very recently by someone else doing that to me. Like, you can't get upset about wanting to do something and not allocating enough time for other people to help you wherever you need them to help you. Or, you know, like if you've got something that you want to do and you require other people in the process to make it happen, you have to work on their time. And even if they're not willing to, that's your problem, not theirs. So anyway, so I'm really trying to like slow down and be like, this is okay, like life is not going to end if I don't manage to do everything that I've got planned on my list, and the most I'm able to do is more than enough. So calm down, slow down, enjoy the process, and just breathe. Giving myself a little lecture over here. Anyway, I'm going to dust that one off as well. I'm just going to leave this because this one is very, very delicate compared, but I do want to just pop it open a little and just dust where it is releasing a little, just so that that can go in the little gaps again. This one is definitely one of those where I definitely had to dust it a bit more than the others, but it's okay. Not me trying to force it to come out. Okay, I'm gonna do a few rose petals as well. We'll see how they go. I do think they might actually not end up going. I'm thinking I'm gonna do about 3 or 4, whatever, maybe just a few. These will go on the actual cake, I believe, since they are a little bit on the bigger side. Like, the cupcakes are very dainty, so unless if I use them on the cupcakes as like something for the fairy to sit in or whatever, if I end up making fairies, which I don't know if I will, but anyway. So I'm just going to lightly with this one. I've not had much success, to put it that way, with this specific mold, and it doesn't have a flat side at the bottom, so I can't really use it to flatten out the piece that I'm trying to press in it. Okay. And you really also only have so much pressure in your hands. So I'm going to pre-press this petal a little bit, right? I'm going to use my roller, I think, potentially. I bought this PVC pipe. I'm actually shocked that I've bought a PVC pipe. My dad would look at me as if I'm crazy buying a piece of PVC pipe at the baking store. But also, if I had to go and get a PVC pipe somewhere where I'm able to actually get it for the price that I'm supposed to pay for it, that costs petrol to get there. So like, and I needed a rolling pin because I don't have my fondant rolling pin anymore. Well, I do have it, but it's wonky due to old age. I need to replace it. But anyway, we're gonna just gently roll. I do want it to be relatively even all the way around, obviously, since it's going to be a petal. And this is not nearly as thin as I wanted, but I'm pressing it now. So now I'm also going to add maximum pressure, locking in my petal to the grid of the mold, and then really going in and giving it a good wiggle and press, wiggle, press. And this is what we have got. I do see a slight imperfection here. There we go. Okay. Now, this is a way to do a petal. I think if you don't know how to make rose petals, this is stunning. But I don't know. I just want to see, because like I normally do my rose petals by hand. And with this one, like it's gorgeous. It really is. But it's not giving, you know? And I do actually have a little drying thing as well for them. But, oh, anyway, I don't know. Let me use my little cupcake trays. Try this in, and whenever I'm using a surface that has not been pre-coated, I just literally coat it so that I just know it's not gonna stick. Okay, just because it's got that slight curve, but I really am not liking how that's looking. I'm gonna try and do one by hand real quick. So if you've never made a rose petal by hand, all you do is firstly you roll to have a beautiful little bowl. Okay, and then we're going to take a little bit of cornstarch. You really don't want this to be sticking. Cup your hand, take a nice little ball tool, press, and roll. And you really want this to float in your hand. You don't want this to feel like it's pressing into your hand, like you're really just bouncing this. The kettle is finally boiled. Let me quickly go put that off and then I'll be back. I'm going to finish this one rose petal, which I'm really thinking is working a lot better for me. So once I've got it to be quite big and petaled out, you just dance, I don't know what would the word be, not dance, you just whatever, you just roll it around the edge, and the smaller balls create a better frill. So for the top part of my petal, I want to have it be nice and delicate. There we go. Now I see in the mold that they've got these beautiful little lines, so I might as well, since I've got them all, use that and just gently press, and then I have got that. I genuinely think that looks a lot better than this one. So this is the one I've made, this is the mold press, and still using the mold though, but looks a lot better. I might as well keep this one, not that I like it, but it's fine. I'm gonna go cut the chocolate before my water cools down. Let's take you with. Okay, I've got a little bowl and I'm just gonna use my sleeve for the kettle because it's very hot. And then I'm just gonna put this here, put some boiling water in, and I'm filling it quite up because I don't want the water to get cold quickly because I've got so many to do, and I'm just gonna let that stay like that for a little until it's hot, and then we're gonna cut our little pieces. These two have been cut already, but like you can see, they have like broken a bit. That's okay though, we're still gonna use them, just not quite as ideal, but yeah, anyway. I think it's quite, like, I don't think it needs to sit for that long. Let's see how it goes. Oh no, it's still not doing anything. Okay, I'm gonna have to get a few knives so we can rotate between them perhaps. I'm wondering if it would make a difference if I just use one of these and like slice through it. Oh, okay, we're still getting a lot of breakage, but in a weird way it kind of works. Maybe what I should do is I should cut them and then just slightly burn them in a pan so that it melts to the point of like sealing up. But I don't know if it's that serious necessarily. I don't know, let's do one more and see, and then we'll decide. Because these are cutting quite cleanly with this knife. Honestly, I think I'm just gonna do that. Yeah, and then the little odds and ends I'll use like in between as like a sprinkle. That's what I'm gonna do, I think. I'm gonna cut big chunks and then use the small chunks in a separate bowl as sprinkles, potentially. I've heated up this knife. I want to see if it makes any difference at all. I don't think it does, to be honest. It is melting it a little, but I don't think to the point where it's really making enough of a difference. I'm just going to be very gentle with these and essentially try and cut them as slowly and gently as possible, as I really do want to keep that grain and keep them as whole as possible. But yeah, it's turning out to work quite well. Because I don't care to like get these all to be perfectly the same, I want to try and do a little experiment in which I cut it halfway like this to see if I can actually get longer pieces that are just thinner. But it seems like, yeah, it's not quite gonna work as planned, but I am getting quite unique pieces out of this, so to an extent it is working. Yeah, I could potentially do that, and then for instance this one, instead of cutting it into all those pieces, I would just cut it into like maybe that piece, and I see, there we go. So yeah, that all of them are a little bit different and not the exact same. I'm gonna carry on doing like some mold making and everything, and just basically get a bulk of the work done. I'm really gonna try and show you guys the important steps of things that I'm doing, which, by the way, let's try and pop this one out now. It's been sitting for a while. Oh, it seems like it's cracking. We're gonna try. We're supposed to use gum paste for these, by the way. Gum paste works a lot better, but it's also expensive. So, yeah, I tend to use fondant and just struggle, you know. Gotta choose your battles. Yeah, like I said, not the biggest fan of this one. I don't think I'm gonna make it. I just think it doesn't look cute at all. Yeah, we're gonna skip that one and do the rest of them. I'm going to try and record a few steps, but we'll see. I will at least try my best to show you guys everything when it's done. I tend to forget to like update you guys on the steps while I'm doing them. So I just want to give you guys a quick run through of everything that I've done so far up until this point. So I don't even remember where we were last, but I have made quite a few flower petals. I just take the powders and mix them in for a base color. I don't buy colored fondant or these things. I'm currently busy making a few of these flowers, which I'm just mold pressing. I've made a few leaves. These ones are going to go on the cakes specifically. But yeah, right now I'm just pressing quite a few flowers. So that is the current situation of what is happening. I just want to show you guys, I'm making the little doors, which I use ChatGPT to give me some ideas of things to make. y'all. Anyway, so I thought I want to do some of these little doors here, and I like the round one, but decided to do it a little bit differently, just the idea of doing a door. So I'm doing little round wooden doors. Now initially with the first one that I did, my plan, oh, by the way, I need to fix my little sign, my little sign for the fairies, but it needs fixing. Anyway, we'll get to that. I did a drawing one, like where I used the edible marker to do, but I'm not sure if I'm loving this one as much. But anyway, what I'm doing is I've made a mix of the powder pigment and a little bit of that flavoring or food coloring, or oh no, not food coloring, that food, what do you call that? This flavoring, what is it? Yeah, beverage flavor, food and beverage flavor. So flavoring, I just didn't know the terminology for that, sorry about that. Haven't done cakes in so many years. Anyway, enjoyed going to Baker's Bin today so incredibly much. Like, haven't done a Baker's Bin trip in so long. Oh goodness, yeah. Okay, so then we essentially go in straight lines across. Now you kind of want to dry brush it a little bit to soften up the edges, well, not soften them up, but to darken them actually, but in a gentle, soft and subtle way, if that makes sense. And then we're just gonna take a little bit of like a speckle, you know, just a little bit, and go and swipe that across. Now with some of them I had like little streaks going like that, where I would just pick up a little bit of paint and streak that, and you can really build on this effect until you are happy. The joy in this is all of them look very different. Now I'm not going to leave this here, but I'm not at the next step yet. I'll try and remember to record that as well, but I still have all of these to finish in the first layer. The ideal plan for doing the rest of layering would essentially be to grab a nice small brush and basically just thin out, oh wait, can you guys see? Oh yeah, you can. Thin out some of this paint situation that we've got here. Now I'm quite liking how this food coloring is changing the consistency, but also I have used this food paint as well in some of them. So I'm actually just going to add a little bit of this because I don't really like how this looks at all. I'm not going to use this in food paint setting as it's very liquidy, it's very runny, it's just not my atmosphere. But then I'm going to take a nice little, you know, dollop. Oh, I keep putting my finger in that. I've made glue on this side. Anyway, you know what? I'm actually not going to use the brush for it. I'd rather use this little roller ball. I found that that actually works quite well. I tested it out earlier, and it kind of molds the paint while it mixes it really well. So I quite like that. But then also I want to add some glitter flakes to this one. Now I believe I want to do, let's see, I don't really want to use a white because I'm trying to keep this relatively dark, but I do want to see that shimmer. So I think I'm going to go for a clear white gold, which will naturally pick up the pigment of the paint in a subtle way. But also I actually want to do, let's see, I think, is this one? No, I don't know if I've got a sparkly, I don't think I've got a sparkly brown. Didn't cross my mind to get one, so we'll have to make do with that. But let's do a little bit of this glitter, which generally speaking we're not going to use glitter in something that's supposed to be the dark part, you know. This is kind of a little bit strange to do, but I really love the effect it gives on these cookies. I'm also going to go in, oh, it's this one actually, with this beautiful Dazzle Dust. And this is the Rebel White Gold Haze shade for that. And we're just going to add a little bit because this gives that diamond-y look. And once again, since I'm using the little roller bowl, it will actually dilute it. But I do see that I'm going to need a lot more wetness here to make this glide really well. So just going to use that food paint again. And we are going to carry on. Okay, I'm going to add a little bit of water to this one as well. So I've just got a little bit of water, and I really just want to use that. Oh, that was quite a bit. That was too much. But anyway, I just want to lightly dilute this. There we go, because I'm kind of going to use this as a water paint. And now the good thing about using this is if I feel like this is too runny for my liking, I can dip in here and I can create a middle tone between the watercolor effect and the dark contrast. So then I'm just literally going to take these. Now basically imagine that this is a plank of wood. I would, generally speaking, actually want a thinner line on this, but that's okay since it's a watercolor effect. That is going to kind of shade out to be, you know, a bit thinner. We are going to try and thin out the lines that we're doing because now we want to create that watercolor pattern of the wood grain, just to kind of give this a little bit of character and make it feel a bit more realistic. So just going to do that. Once again, ideally a thinner brush would have gone much better. I'm not sure if I'm yet happy with that. However, this is what the door looks like because I've layered it, but I just don't have time to do all of them in this manner where I actually do little segments, you know. So potentially I might just have to get a thinner brush and figure this out. But yeah, it leaves it to look so beautiful. I actually wanted to do a little bit around the edges as well, just because of that beautiful little bit of shimmer that it gives. And you can, if you wanted to, sprinkle on some glitter after this, just to get it to be a little bit more sparkly. I can show you, like, something that I like to do is take a little bit of glitter, sprinkle it on the palm of my hands, and then just use a blow tool, which I can show you if I can find it. Oh, okay. We'll use a pipette, it's going to do the same thing. And we're just going to lightly dust, you know, just give it a good puff, and then we're going to turn and puff, and that's just going to dust on some little bit of glitter without having it be too glittery. Okay, we can pop this glitter back or sprinkle it over the others. Doesn't really matter. This is a fairy cookie or cupcake, whatever. Anyway, guys, I'm not qualified to give classes on these things. I just really do this as a hobby, so please bear that in mind. But anyway, I will update you guys again. Okay, so we've managed to make a little bit of progress on the process that I'm currently taking with these. So I just want to show you guys with one. This one already has lines. Let me use just this plain disc and placing it on my mat. I'm going to scoot you guys to over here so we can see a bit better. Hold on, let's have a look. Okay, so I'm going to place this on my mat with my grain following this direction. Now I'm going to use a ruler and just on the lines of my mat make a slight indentation onto my circle at every block, essentially, so I have evenly spaced little lines. then I'm going to use my die and I'm going to dip in, and firstly just around the edges, because I want to define the edges of my little circles. So I'm just literally buffing that out around the edges of my circle. Now the idea of this is really to get it inside of the little crevices that we have just created, but I do like sticking with a nice fluffy little coarse brush because it creates a bit of texture. So we're just gonna go and hop into those two shades and really try and focus inside of those crevices and get the pigment inside of the crevices and slightly run over the edges once the pigment gets on the surface level, so we can really get that grain effect. So once again, just dip and brush, brush, brush. And I'm just going to add until I am happy with it. I really want it to be nice and dark inside of those lines and quite light on the outside. And then I'm just going to take a little bit of more pigment and brush, brush, brush on the tops and at the bottom a little bit. Okay, that is the technique I'm using. Yeah, I think taking it from this, hold on, I just smudged that with a fingerprint. Whoopsie. I think essentially taking it from this to that makes such a big difference in the realism. So I'm going to stick with that method for these. I've got quite the few to still do, as you guys can see over there. And that is also not the last job that I've got, so let me do this. So I've just added some brown and blue pigment to my white fondant, and I'm just rolling that out, and I'm gonna fold it a few times and, you know, just mix in the blue and the brown quite nicely while still keeping some streak lines for natural color variation, but just kneading that into the fondant basically. And then I'm gonna use that to create little rock edges on the little fairy doors, so like little rock outlines. I don't know what you want to call them, like frame, like a door frame. Yeah, anyway, I haven't given you guys an update in I don't even know how long because I forgot. I'm so sorry. I don't even know what I've shown you and what not, but let me show you what I'm busy with, I guess. So right now I'm watching a YouTube video, but also I'm busy doing the little, so I'm gonna put cupcake toppers on the cupcakes. So I'm pre-making them. I've got jelly in the fridge that I've made, like blue jelly with luster dust and everything, that I'm going to use for the water section. And then the little doors, I've added little vines to. I've made a little fairy. She's gone through a lot. She's in yeah, not the best condition ever. She fell on her top as well. So, but yeah, she's got a little rose petal dress and a little like flower hat and everything. So yeah, and I've made like lots of little bits that's gonna go on the cupcakes and a little fairy door, like I don't know if I've mentioned that, but essentially for the step that I'm busy with right now, let me show you guys what I'm doing. I'm gonna bring you guys down here. So I have just cut out, oh, I've also baked the cupcakes, which I brought an extra cupcake for size reference, and I've put it somewhere now that I seem to, oh, here we go. So this is going to be the size of my cupcake. So this part is going to go essentially like this, and then the door is going to actually sink into the icing behind that. I don't know if that's making any sense. So like this is going to go in, and then this will go in front of that. So that's why I'm busy building these, so that they can literally just be taken off of the cupcake and then the cupcake can be enjoyed. Otherwise, if I'm placing everything inside the icing, it might get a bit awkward. So I've made a sludge glue with fondant pieces that have dried up and everything. So always keep your fondant scraps that are dried for this part. I've just added water and fondant and some brown pigment because the ground is essentially brown. So then what I've been doing, keeping in mind that my water is going to run on that side, I'm just kind of painting what my little scene would look like, I guess, like so. So I'm just painting with my sludge mix situation, and I just want to create a surface area for my stuff to stick to, basically. And then I've decided to do, so initially I was going to do the grass on this side and then the mud or whatever on this side. But then I thought about it, like, I think it would make more sense for there to be a little bit mud, like by the water. So I've decided to switch it around. And I don't know if it's going to make logical sense with the idea of like having a door by the mud and water and whatever, but it's okay. It's a cupcake topper. It doesn't matter that much. So then I'm just putting on my little mix that is just, it's wafer paper that has been glitterized, and then I am putting on this, which is coconut and green sprinkles and green glitter and green luster dust and everything that I've just mixed together, and I just add that to that side, and that just creates the most beautiful little gradient of my grass and my gravel and whatever. Yeah, so then I'm just going to let that dry for a bit while I'm doing all of these. And then after that, I'm hoping my jelly, I've used jelly, but I'm trying to make gummies. I'm hoping it's going to work, but we'll see. We'll go grab that out of the fridge after I've done all of this. But I might also actually do the decorative pieces need to come after the jelly, because I actually don't know if the gummy part is going to work. So I need to figure that out first. So yeah, I'm just going to continue with all of these and then I will be back. Well, hopefully. Okay, so I did try the jelly. It's still in the fridge, okay? I am not so fond of how it turned out. I don't know, it just didn't quite look how I expected it's gonna look. So I might still use it for this, but for now what we're doing, which seems to be working really well, I have just mixed up some of my fondant scraps and some of my blue pigments to create this beautiful watercolorish paint situation, but it has got a little bit of texture to it because I'm using the fondant in it. And I've got some glitters mixed into that, and then I just literally take a little bit of a brush and dab on some glitter onto that just to top it off, and I think that is looking really, really cute. So that is where we are at with these at the moment. I've got one that I finished that I want to show you guys. It looks like that for now. So this is going to go on top of the cupcake. And then that is the door at the back of it. So this is where we are at. I really don't know how much I still have to do. I did really want to make little fairies. I really wanted to make little fairies to put on, but I just genuinely don't think it's going to be necessary, because I thought the fairies could sit on the little wooden log, and that could be very cute, but time-wise, I just don't think it's going to happen. I don't know, but knowing me, I'm a bit cray-cray, so I might just actually still do it. Anyway. Okay, so essentially, I painted this to be blue. I don't know if you guys can really see this very well. Huh? Ja, is okay vir nou. Ek wil net weet waar hy is. But then now what I'm doing is I'm using my DIY fondant glue sludge situation, and I'm just applying a streak of it, trying to actually like dab and drag kind of a thing. But yeah, we're just going with it. There we go. To create a little line around that edge. And then what we are doing is taking, wait, let me show you guys like this rather. Hold on. I just went for a run, by the way. That's why I look the way I do. Let's drop you guys down. Hello. Hello. The other way. Hello. Hello. Okay. So then I'm just holding it over the little packet and like trying to get the sprinkles everywhere, and then I just use my tweezers to push it into place so that it looks nice and neat, like little like riverside stones or pebbles or whatever. That's kind of the vibe we're going for. Anyway, so that's what that looks like. Yeah, let's do that. Nee, nie kyk weg nie, opsie. Wag. Kijk. Ja, kijk, hij volgt ons. Kijk. Kom hier kant toe. Kijk. Hij volgt je. Wat? Kom maar. Kijk, is je raar. Kijk, mama. Raar. Why is it loud? Fluffy and bright. Pink as a flamingo. A graceful sight. Red as a rose. Golden grand. Orange as a butterfly. Pretty and plain. Colors, colors all around. Magic in the use each frown. With glitter bomb, come sing and play. Learning colors the magical way. I'm gonna take this flower, and now this flower has got a divot at the bottom, so I'm gonna need a lot of this fondant glue to place into that little crevice so that I've got enough. Okay, then we're gonna take it, spin it around, and just look at how we want to have that placed, but keeping in mind that this will go into the icing, so trying to find an angle that lifts up the flower ever so slightly. It's gonna move around, that's okay. We are now done with the door, so I'm gonna move it out the way so I don't damage it in the process somehow. Then what we are going to be doing is taking the biggest lily pad and just putting a little dollop of our glue on it, and we're going to take that, flip it over, pop it onto our topper. Next we're going to take the slightly smaller one, do the same thing, a little dollop of our icing, well, our glue I guess, or icing. You could use icing as well if you wanted to. Hello. For reference, my husband did not sneeze near any of the edible stuff, but hi. Anyway, I do however think anyone consuming cupcakes made in a house with toddlers, you are taking that risk on your own. There's gonna potentially be a germ or two on the cupcake. We are trying, but we are still human. We're next gonna do our little rock. Just put some of that icing. Wil jy iets sê? Well, ek is amper klaar. Kan dit wag? Want ek is amper klaar. Okay, sharp, maar wil jy iets gesê het voor jy gaan? Okay, wag. Okay, the second one I have glued and I'm gonna stick it right next to that one. Oh. Now these are random sizes, so each cupcake will have a different look to it. Okay, then I'm just gonna take my little shovel. Oh. That was maybe a bit much. Hello. And we're just gonna again put some of this glue on. Not too much. Oh my goodness, this is messy. Anyway. Oh, Nia. Okay. And then we're just gonna plop it onto our stone so it like kind of rests on our stone. Like so. You don't actually want to see the glue though. Like this one I've glued in such an ugly way. But whatever. You can put it however you want. Like it just needs to be in the little seam basically. Not too close to the door space. And then I'm just gonna let that dry. So yeah, put it to the side and then I can just start on my next one. Hello again. Okay, so we are done with the cupcake toppers. I haven't put them on the cupcakes yet, but we are now at the stage where I have to actually blow up the balloons. So that is very exciting. Definitely very excited to do that. But it's also a lot of work. So come with me as I blow up some balloons. I haven't actually blown up one of the big ones yet. I want to see what it looks like, but I'm thinking I should maybe not do it. Hold on. I'm just gonna go with this size, and then what I do, two of my balloons fell, so I'm just gonna pick them up fixed. So I'm just gonna let that fall onto the floor, and when we're doing this, we're just hoping and praying that they don't pop, because like at this point, I'm gonna decorate the balloons, like I'm gonna hang them inside the house for now. Because obviously like weather is unpredictable and everything, but also I don't want the balloons popping in the yard outside. So I'm going to keep them in the house. The party is Saturday and it's Thursday today. But I've got my strings that I'm stringing over here. And I just do clusters of 4. And then I put them together. And then I'm just going to like carry on with that until all of my balloons are finished. I'm gonna have to put this somewhere so it doesn't lower onto my plants and stuff. But yeah, I'm just doing lots of balloon strings, hanging them around the house, and then we will take them where they need to go when they need to go to such places.